Hi everyone, it's me, Carol from Practical Mystic. Thanks for joining me today as we continue my new series on the Pythagorean Triangles. This is going to be part 2. And by now, if you followed me on part 1, let me go ahead and move these items. So you have everything on your monitor. Originally, I went ahead and showed you the Pythagorean triangle with all 9 numbers and how they are distributed in the 2 triangles. By now, if you did part 1, here is our YouTube example, born June 12, 1974. You knew how to put your individual date of birth numbers in the Pythagorean triangles, and then of course we talked about those secondary numbers that we need to have on our chart, and that is the life path number, which was explained, the day of birth, meaning finding out what weekday you were born, and on the 12th of June, that was a Wednesday, and Wednesday is the day of Mercury, and it has a number 4, so we're putting that here on our chart. There was no zeros. We talked about the zeros, and then the benefit number, which is going to be our jumping off point here today, because I am going to talk about the meaning of the benefit numbers. So let's put these aside. And if you recall, this is how we found out what our benefit number was. Very simple. You take your life path number, you subtract it from the number 9, and that is your benefit number. For our example, the benefit number for this individual born June 12, 1974, it's 6. Because their life path number was 3, you subtract 9, and of course the number is 6. If you need these, it's not too late. Just let me know. I will send you a copy. This is last week's video. So here we go, folks. We're going to talk about the benefit meanings. We're going to do that a little quickly and go through them very quickly. The benefit numbers and meaning are really potentials for you. And you can see here that I have the 8 numbers, not 9, because 9 minus 9 is 0. It indicates that you don't get that benefit number. You are of a higher energy if your life path number is a 9 when you incarnate this lifetime. So let's quickly go over these. Number 1, if your benefit number is number 1, you have the ability to overcome difficult opportunities. You're self-reliant, and that grows with age. You are able to lead others in a well and organized manner. So it has that power of leadership. Number 2, if that's your number, you have a natural ability to nurture, empathics, and you can express compassion. You have an understanding nature, and fairness brings harmony to your life and others. Number 3, an attitude of gratitude, of which you hold, allows you to view life with less worry and stress. You have a creative mind and a way of communicating that is captivating. Number 3 is almost like a joyous vibration that you amplify. We say that people walk in the room and we naturally migrate towards them. Usually we find them with a lot of 3s in their date of birth, a life path number 3. That is a wonderful asset to have. Number 4, if that is your benefit number, you possess strong work ethics organizational abilities that profit wherever it is applied. You make good employees. You are self-disciplined and able to work long hours. Number 5, you're able to cope with change, have a knack of recovering quickly from setbacks and disappointments. You view life as an adventure. Number 6, you have an air of gentleness about you. You have an ability to teach fine arts, music, and dance. You strive for balance and harmony wherever you are. Number 7, the ability to understand the deeper religions and mysteries of life. A good mind and a good memory. Boy, that's important as we get older. A natural teacher who seeks knowledge. And lastly, if your number 8 is your benefit number, skill and ability to govern on a small or large scale. You possess an ease in money management, the possibilities to inherit or earn large amounts of money and wealth are possible with that number. All right, folks, if you want a copy of this, it's available. Let me just get my little fingers off of here for those of you who like to take a screenshot. There you go. Okay, now the other thing that I want to do in this particular video is acclimate you a little more. And if you can go ahead and draw the Pythagorean triangles in your notebook and have these at your disposal where you can see the astrological planets and their numbers associated with them, I think that is going to be very helpful when you go to evaluate and diagnose those charts of yourself and others that you're going to be using. And to help you along with this, let me put this a little bit here aside as we talk about the planets and number corresponding with the Pythagorean triangle here today. And I'm quickly going to get up to make sure you're able. I apologize for that noise. That's my chair. Yeah, that's great. You can see those. All right, now what we have here is how the numbers and the planets. Now remember, the planets correspond to the days of the week. And then, of course, there's 7 days to the week when the transcendental planets, also known as archetypal planets, were discovered. They were then allotted the number 8 and 9, finishing off the 9 basic digits in numerology. You're also going to see here that I added the 3 master numbers that we talked about in part 1. Those 3 master numbers are 11, 22, and 33. And if you have a master number as your life path number, you're going to see that the lower octave, or when you add up the master number, 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, 3 and 3 is 6. They are where, and I put them in blue because of course they're not going to go into the triangle, but you can see where they are, where they would dominate or be placed. Okay, so I did that as well. Let's begin with number 1, which is the first day of the week. It is Sunday. It's ruled by the sun. And the astrological sign is Leo. Now the characteristics for that section is ego, force, ambition, activity, and reliance. Those are key words that you can take and expound on them as you're looking to evaluate the characteristics of your chart and of those number ones that may be or may not be in the Pythagorean triangle. And these number definitions you will see lean more towards what the planets mean, and of course the sun signs that are ruled by them. Let's go on with number 2. That is Moon Day, Monday, and the sign that it rules is Cancer. So that number 2 is feeling, instinct, relationships, and vacillation. Okay? Number 3 up here in the upper left-hand corner, and of course I also put the astrological ciphers that represent the planets, also known as glyphs. Number 3 is Mars up here, and it is the ruler of Aries and sub-ruler of Scorpio. We call it the old ruler, but still important to take into consideration. Astrologers know that. And the characteristics are activation, competitiveness, resourceful, and aware. Those are all, think about those keywords and what they mean for that number 3, for that placement of that Mars energy. We come down now to the bottom of the inverted triangle where number 4 sits, and its planet or its day of week is Wednesday, which is Mercury. And Mercury rules the sun signs Gemini and Virgo. Mercury is considered, this is a double-bodied sign, as well as Mars is, because of the 2 rulers. But Gemini is a double-bodied sign. Aries is not, Scorpio is not, and Virgo is not. But Gemini is the twins, so it is a very strong energy of 4 and the influence of Mercury. And it has to do with communication. It has to do with movement. It has to do with reason, dexterity, and also process. It's a word that has a lot of meaning in it that I want you to take into consideration. Now, number 5 is very important. It sits in the center of the Pythagorean triangle. We're going to discuss that a little more, but what I wanted to bring to your attention today, which is very important in its corresponding, is the planet is Jupiter. The signs that Jupiter rules is Sagittarius, which is a double-bodied sign. It is a horse and a man, and the 2 fishes in Pisces. And their characteristics are knowledge, adaptable, supportive, and ethics. Jupiter, being that it is the ruler of Sagittarius for number 5, I wanted to bring to your attention that Temperance card in the tarot corresponds to the astrological sign Sagittarius in the tarot. When we add up 14, it is the number 5. This corresponds to everything that number 5 and Jupiter suggest, that we have to have balance, and sometimes in order to achieve balance, we have to mix substances. Now, we can take away or we can add to in order to get that perfect blend for us. But it's all about balancing, not having too much or too little, and in doing so, we have the perfect blend. And it's quite spiritual because of the Sagittarius and Pisces energy, and the Temperance card represents that spirituality, not only because of the angel, but because it represents how we have to have one foot in reality shown here on earth, and we have to allow ourselves to go into the unknown, to where it's not clear, but 5 has that energy to put away fear, to be adventurous. Jupiter expands. Sometimes it knows no limits, and that is something that can be positive, and it's something that can be overdone or too much of. So I just wanted to bring that correlation for you, for those of you who love the tarot, who are interested in astrology and interested in numerology, how all of this sometimes blends very perfectly. All right, let's move on to number 6, which is above here on the triangle, and it is the planet Venus. Those are ruled by Taurus and Libra. And the characteristics of Venus, Taurus, and Libra, and the number 6 is harmony, reciprocation, reliability. It's very reliable. It is social. Aesthetics are very important, and there's vision. So there's also that continuation of expansion, and we know that Venus has to do with love, and love sometimes can create form, can create other. So all of that we have to kind of blend in with the numbers, which again, hang in there with me. We will discuss those in depth as we continue looking at the energy of the Pythagorean triangle and how they all work together. Number 7. Now 7 is known as a very mystical number, something else that we're going to discuss a little bit more in depth as we continue in this series. But we have the planet Saturn. It is the 7th day of the week, Saturday, Saturn, and the planets that it rules are Capricorn and Aquarius. The characteristics are authority, unconventional, it's insightful, it's definitely disciplined, it's inventive, and it has a lot to do with time. Again, I will reiterate that this number and this placement, Saturn, is very important in a chart. And we know that the planet Saturn is the taskmaker or father time, and it has a lot to do with death and rebirth, which certainly corresponds to our next number here, number 8, Pluto, Scorpio. Now this is a very powerful, and it's powerful in 2 ways, spiritual and natural. Regeneration, ascension with Pluto. That number is an executive number, and it has to do with a great amount of abundance. Lastly, Neptune up here on the right-hand side, number 9, and it is the sign of Pisces. It has to do with the spiritual and the intellectual aspects. Imagination, it's very noble in its ideals, it's very sensitive, and it can be quite supportive. So I hope this helps you understanding the astrological signs, the planets that rule them, and the numbers that correspond. We blend that in with keywords under the characteristics. And what you can do with those is to look at your personal sun sign. So let's say that you are a Gemini. We know that Gemini has the number 4. So over here on the bottom where number 4 is, you have more Mercury, you can also look on your horoscope to see where the planet Mercury lands, in what house. And you can see how you can grow in understanding a different aspect of who you are through the numbers that you are born with versus just the planets astrologically. Now, the other thing that I want to bring to your attention is, if you want this, please let me know. I will send it to you. But here you will notice that we also have another planet. We have the planet Uranus. And Uranus can fit in two places. It can fit in with the number 4, and it can fit in with the number 6. Some numerologists use the number 6 placement for Uranus and all its definitions. I personally like Uranus to be here with number 4 for the added reason that in the tarot, the Fool card is numbered 22. It corresponds to the planet Uranus, which bodes very well with the lesser octave of the 4 of the master number 22, or the Fool card, which Uranus represents. There's also correlation between number 1 and Mercury, number 4. Now, the other thing that I want to tell you about the additional planets, the transpersonal planets, is that the planet Pluto is considered to be the higher octave of Mars. So number 3 and number 8 do have that connection, okay? Also, Neptune is said to be the higher octave of Venus. That also connects 6 and it connects 9. Uranus is the higher octave also of Mercury. Another reason why I like it to be number 4. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean when I say it is a higher octave? It is a more evolved planet than the one that was the lesser, i.e., well, let's look at Pluto, which is a higher octave of Mars. It gives it astuteness. It gives it more credibility, okay? Pluto does that. So the key word for that octave would be astuteness. As far as Neptune, it gives reference to Venus. And lastly, Uranus, being a higher octave of Mercury, it gives it ingenuity. So you could see how it adds somewhat of a characteristic that gives it a lot of clout, a lot of definition, more stability. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, friends. Don't want it to be too long. Know that if you have any questions, I'm available for you. You just have to email me, which I always put in my description box, or leave it in the comment section. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.